The Dominion's Grand Admiral Kovacs stood motionless before the holographic display, his four eyes fixed on the pulsing network of defensive satellites that had protected their core worlds for millennia. The network had never failed, not once in 10,000 years, until today. Impossible, he whispered, watching as sector after sector of the defense grid went dark. The satellites, pinnacles of Dominion engineering, were simply shutting down, their quantum processors going silent one by one like dying stars. In the command center of the Dominion's flagship Eternal Vigilance, dozens of operators from various species worked frantically at their stations, their movements reflecting the mounting panic. The defense network's failure was unprecedented, unthinkable. It had survived wars, natural disasters, and countless attempted sabotage. Yet now it was being systematically dismantled by an unseen force. "Report," Kovacs demanded, his secondary hearts beginning to race. "Where is this attack originating from?" A Nexian analyst, her crystalline form glowing with stress patterns, responded without looking up from her console. "Unknown, Admiral. The shutdown sequence appears to be triggered by some form of cascading electromagnetic pulse we've never encountered before. It's elegant. The pulses are precisely calibrated to our system's resonant frequencies." Kovacs's facial scales darkened, a sign of deep concern among his species. Elegant meant whoever designed this attack intimately understood Dominion technology. But how? The Dominion guarded its technological secrets zealously, sharing them only with the most trusted member species of their coalition. "Sir," another operator called out, "we're detecting multiple ships emerging from hyperspace." A holographic display shifted, showing dozens of vessels materializing at strategic points throughout the system. They were unlike anything in the Dominion's vast database of known ship designs. Their hulls seemed to absorb rather than reflect sensor scans, making them appear as vague shadows against the backdrop of space. Kovacs leaned forward, his military training taking over. Identity. The answer came from an unexpected source. A communication channel opened automatically on all frequencies, bypassing the flagship's security protocols as if they didn't exist. The voice that spoke was calm, measured, and distinctly human. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. For decades, you've dismissed humanity as primitive, unworthy of a seat at your table. Today, that changes." The command center fell silent. Humans, the primitive species from the spiral arm that had barely mastered faster-than-light travel, the ones the Dominion's Cultural Integration Committee had deemed centuries away from being considered for full membership. "Your defense network is now under our control," Admiral Chen continued. "We've demonstrated our capability without causing a single casualty. This is not an act of war, but a negotiation. Humanity will no longer accept second-class status in the galaxy." Kovacs's mind raced. How had they missed this? The humans had seemed so ordinary. Yes, they learned quickly and showed remarkable adaptability, but nothing had suggested they were capable of this level of technological advancement. "You're bluffing," Kovacs responded, trying to project confidence he no longer felt. "No species could have developed such capabilities without our knowledge." A quiet laugh came over the channel. "That's exactly what we counted on. Admiral, your arrogance, your certainty. While your observers were dismissing us as primitive, we were studying every aspect of your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. Today's demonstration used only a fraction of our capabilities." As if to emphasize her point, new data began flooding the Dominion systems. Detailed scans of supposedly secret military installations, intercepted communications between Dominion High Command, schematics for weapons systems that were still in development. "Impossible," Kovacs whispered again, but with a different tone now. This wasn't just about the defense network. Humanity had apparently infiltrated every level of Dominion security. "Nothing is impossible, Admiral," Chen replied. "That's a lesson humanity learned long ago. We've spent the last 20 years preparing for this moment, developing technologies you never imagined because you were too convinced of your own superiority to look closely at what we were really doing. The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just caught up to Dominion technology. They'd surpassed it in several key areas. Their ships weren't registering properly on sensors because they were using completely novel principles of construction. The electromagnetic pulse that disabled the defense network wasn't in any Dominion database because it was entirely human innovation. "What are your demands?" Kovacs asked, knowing the question would shock his crew. The Dominion didn't negotiate from a position of weakness, except now, for the first time in recent memory, they were weak. Simple. Humanity takes its place as a full member of the galactic community, not as subordinates, not as proteges, but as equals. We've earned that right, not through age or tradition, but through innovation and determination. Kovacs studied the sensor readings again. The human ships were positioned perfectly to strike at key strategic locations throughout the system. If their technological advantage was as significant as it appeared, they could cripple the Dominion's military infrastructure before any effective response could be mounted. "The Dominion Council will never agree to this," Kovacs said, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "They will," Chen responded confidently, "because the alternative is watching their carefully constructed hierarchy crumble. We don't want war, Admiral. We want recognition, respect, a voice in decisions that affect our future. Grant us that, and your defense network will be restored, better than before. Refuse." She left the threat unspoken. Kovacs felt the weight of history on his shoulders. In a single day, humanity had shattered the Dominion's sense of superiority and demonstrated that the old order was vulnerable. Whether the Council admitted it or not, the galaxy had changed irrevocably. "I will convey your terms to the Council," he said finally. "But know this, if you've shown even a fraction of your true capabilities, you've made some powerful enemies today." "We know," Chen replied, and for the first time, there was a hint of sadness in her voice. "But we've also proved something vital, that humanity can no longer be ignored or dismissed. The galaxy is changing, Admiral Kovacs. The only question is whether the Dominion will change with it." The communication channel closed, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Kovacs stared at the disabled defense network, understanding that he was witnessing the end of an era. Humanity had done more than launch a surprise attack. They had shattered the foundation of Dominion authority. The myth of their technological supremacy lay in ruins, and with it, perhaps their right to rule. The galaxy would never be the same. The development of humanity's Ghost Fleet began not with a breakthrough in weapons technology, but with a question. How do you defeat an enemy that's been fighting wars in space for millennia? Dr. Maya Patel stood in the underground command center beneath the Himalayan mountains, watching holographic representations of Dominion battle formations dating back centuries. After 5 years of studying their tactics, she had reached a surprising conclusion. The Dominion's greatest strength, their rigid adherence to proven military doctrine, was also their greatest weakness. "They fight like immortals," she explained to the assembled military leadership. "Every maneuver, every formation is built on the assumption that they have time to spare. They'd forgotten how to improvise." That observation had become the cornerstone of humanity's military revolution. While the Dominion perfected their existing strategies, Earth's best minds worked to create an entirely new form of space combat. The Ghost Fleet's first real test came 6 months after the defense network shutdown. A Dominion battle group, attempting to track human ship movements, encountered what appeared to be a small convoy of civilian vessels near the Arcturus system. Captain James Chen, no relation to Admiral Chen, watched from the bridge of his ship, the HSS Spectre, as the Dominion cruisers moved to intercept. His vessel, like all ships in the Ghost Fleet, was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. Its hull was coated with metamaterials that absorbed or redirected sensor scans. Its power systems operated on principles that the Dominion scientists hadn't even theorized yet. "All ships, execute pattern Omega," Chen ordered quietly. Let's show them why they call us ghosts. The civilian ships suddenly split apart, revealing themselves as modular components of larger warships. But before the Dominion vessels could adjust their formation, the human ships seemingly vanished. In reality, they hadn't disappeared. They had shifted into what humanity called quantum shadow state, a condition where matter existed partially out of phase with normal spacetime. It was a technology born from humanity's desperate need to overcome their technological disadvantage, and it worked better than anyone had dared hope. The Dominion ships, their sensors useless against an enemy they couldn't properly detect, fell into disarray. They tried to maintain their traditional combat formation, but it was like trying to fight shadows with a spotlight. "Remarkable," muttered Sub-Commander Ltix aboard the Dominion flagship. "Their ships move like water through our fingers." His captain, a veteran of countless battles, had no response. Nothing in his centuries of experience had prepared him for an enemy that could simply ignore the fundamental rules of space combat. The Ghost Fleet struck from multiple vectors simultaneously, their weapons specifically designed to target the Dominion ship's most vulnerable systems. They didn't aim to destroy. That would have revealed too much about their capabilities. Instead, they systematically disabled their opponent's ability to fight, communicate, or navigate. Within 20 minutes, the entire Dominion battle group was adrift in space, their crews alive but helpless. Captain Chen opened a channel to the defeated ships. "Your emergency systems remain functional. Help will arrive within 6 hours. Remember this, humanity doesn't seek your destruction, only your respect." Back on Earth, Dr. Patel watched the after-action reports with satisfaction. The Ghost Fleet had performed exactly as designed, using the Dominion's expectations against them. But she knew this was only the beginning. In secure facilities around the planet, the next generation of innovations was already taking shape. Quantum entanglement drives that could move ships instantly across vast distances. AI systems that could predict and counter Dominion tactics before they were even implemented. Technologies that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. But perhaps most importantly, humanity had maintained their greatest advantage: secrecy. The Dominion still didn't know the location of Earth, thanks to an elaborate network of decoys, false trails, and quantum-encrypted communications. Admiral Chen visited the research facility a week after the Arcturus engagement. She found Dr. Patel still studying Dominion battle footage, searching for new weaknesses to exploit. "The Council is beginning to fracture," Chen reported. "Some species are questioning whether the Dominion's leadership is still relevant in a galaxy where their military supremacy can be so easily challenged." Patel nodded without looking up from her data. "And the others? Calling for massive military mobilization. They want to crush us before more of their subject species get ideas about independence." "Let them try," Patel said, finally turning to face the Admiral. "Every engagement teaches us more about their capabilities. Every battle gives us new data to refine our technologies. Time is on our side, not theirs." She gestured to a new simulation running on her holographic display. "We're already developing countermeasures for their likely responses. The next generation of Ghost Fleet ships will make these look primitive by comparison." Admiral Chen studied the schematics with growing appreciation. The new designs incorporated lessons learned from every encounter with Dominion forces, evolving at a pace that their opponents couldn't match. "How long can we maintain this advantage?" she asked. "Indefinitely," Patel replied with quiet confidence. "The Dominion's problem isn't technological, it's philosophical. They see warfare as a series of set pieces, like a game with established rules. We see it as a problem to be solved, an obstacle to overcome. They perfect their existing solutions. We create new ones." An alert flashed across the command center's main screen. Another Dominion fleet had been detected moving toward human-controlled space. Larger this time, with new defensive systems they hoped would counter the Ghost Fleet's capabilities. Chen smiled. "Shall we show them how much more we have to teach?" The Ghost Fleet slipped its moorings and moved out to meet the challenge, each ship a testament to human ingenuity and determination. They carried with them not just advanced technology, but a message that would reshape the galaxy. Humanity would never again be underestimated. As the fleet departed, Dr. Puddle returned to her work. The next innovation was already taking shape in her mind, driven by the same question that had started it all. How do you defeat an enemy that's been fighting wars in space for millennia? The answer, as humanity was proving with every engagement, was simple. You change the rules of war itself. The day the Dominion found Earth began with a betrayal. A human colony administrator, driven by the belief that open conflict with the galaxy's oldest civilization would lead to humanity's extinction, transmitted Earth's coordinates to the Dominion High Command. Within hours, the largest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy's history emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in Earth's primary defense command center, watching as tens of thousands of Dominion warships filled the holographic display. The sheer scale of the armada would have terrified most species, but humanity had planned for this moment. "They think numbers will overwhelm us," she said to her staff. "Let's show them why quantity isn't everything. Initiate Prometheus Protocol." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated. Quantum entanglement arrays, humanity's most closely guarded technological achievement, powered up. These devices didn't just communicate faster than light. They manipulated the very fabric of space-time itself. The Dominion fleet's Grand Marshal, Tilara, watched with satisfaction as his armada approached Earth. Finally, he transmitted to his commanders, "We will show these upstarts the true meaning of power. All ships, advance in standard conquest formation." But something was wrong. His fleet's sensors suddenly reported impossible readings. Space itself seemed to be folding, twisting in ways that defied physical laws. Before he could process what was happening, chaos erupted across his command network. Earth had weaponized quantum entanglement. The human defense systems weren't just shutting down Dominion ships, they were altering the fundamental reality around them. Sections of the massive fleet found themselves instantly transported millions of kilometers away. Others were caught in localized time dilations, experiencing hours of subjective time in what appeared to seconds to outside observers. Impossible. Tilara raged as his carefully organized formation disintegrated. No species has ever managed to weaponize quantum mechanics at this scale. Dr. Maya Patel's voice cut across all Dominion communication channels. "That's because no species has ever been forced to innovate like humanity. When you threatened us with overwhelming force, we didn't try to match your numbers. We changed the rules of the game entirely." The Ghost Fleet emerged from quantum shadow state, striking at the now scattered Dominion forces. But they weren't using conventional weapons. Each human ship projected fields that manipulated gravity, time, and space itself. Dominion vessels found themselves fighting an enemy that could literally control the battlefield at a quantum level. In the chaos, Tilara realized a horrifying truth. Humanity hadn't been holding back their technology out of caution. They'd been holding back out of mercy. Now, faced with an existential threat, they were demonstrating their full capabilities. "Marshal," one of his subordinates reported, voice shaking, "we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our records. The humans aren't just bending space. They are rewriting the laws of physics within localized fields." The quantum entanglement arrays continued their work, systematically dismantling the largest military force ever assembled. Ships that tried to retreat found themselves looping back to their starting positions. Weapons fire curved impossibly through space or froze in time. The Dominion's overwhelming numerical advantage meant nothing against an enemy who could manipulate reality itself. From her command center, Admiral Chen watched the battle with a mixture of pride and sadness. "We tried to show you respect," she transmitted to Tilara. "We tried to prove our worth without resorting to this. You forced our hand." Tilara, watching his mighty fleet reduced to chaos by forces he barely understood, felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear, not just of defeat, but of what this meant for the galaxy. Humanity hadn't just caught up to Dominion technology. They transcended it. How? He demanded. How did you achieve this level of advancement in mere decades? The answer came from Dr. Patel. Because we had to. Your dominion over the galaxy gave you the luxury of slow, methodical progress. We faced extinction if we couldn't innovate quickly enough. Evolution has always favored those under pressure to adapt. As if to emphasize her point, a new wave of quantum distortions rippled through space. Entire squadrons of Dominion ships found themselves precisely arranged in a complex three-dimensional grid, completely immobilized. This is your final warning, Chen announced. Withdraw your forces, acknowledge humanity's sovereignty, and we can still work toward a peaceful future. Continue this attack, and we will be forced to demonstrate capabilities that will reshape the galaxy in ways none of us may be ready for. Tilera looked at his fleet, the mighty armada now scattered and helpless against forces that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. His entire understanding of warfare, of technology, of his civilization's place in the galaxy, lay in ruins. "What are you?" he whispered. "We are humanity," Chen replied simply. "We are what happens when you force a species to evolve faster than anyone thought possible. We are what happens when you leave no choice but excellence or extinction." The quantum arrays pulsed one final time, creating a clear path for the Dominion fleet to retreat. It was more than an escape route. It was a choice. Continue fighting against an enemy that could rewrite reality, or accept that the galaxy had changed forever. Tilera made his decision. "All forces withdraw," he ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of history. "The humans have won not just this battle, but the right to be heard." As the Dominion fleet retreated, Earth's quantum defense grid powered down. The Ghost Fleet resumed its vigilant patrol, and in secure facilities around the planet, humanity's scientists continued their work. They had revealed some of their most advanced technology today, but not all of it. After all, in a galaxy that had just witnessed the impossible, it was wise to keep a few miracles in reserve. The news spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. The invincible Dominion fleet had retreated from Earth. But it wasn't just the military defeat that shook the galactic community. It was the fundamental shift in understanding of what was possible. In the great halls of the Galactic Council on Centaurus Prime, representatives from 1,000 species gathered for an emergency session. The chamber, usually arranged in strict hierarchical tiers based on each civilization's age and technological advancement, had spontaneously reorganized itself. Species that had quietly accepted their subordinate status for millennia were now demanding to be heard. Arxis, a representative from the silicon-based crystalline Concordat, addressed the assembly. "For 10,000 years, we accepted the Dominion's assertion that technological progress must follow a predictable path. Humanity has proven this false. They have shown us that innovation needs no permission." The Dominion's chief counselor, Valon, rose to speak, his ancient form trembling with barely contained emotion. "What humanity has done is dangerous. They've introduced technologies that could destabilize the very fabric of space-time. Their reckless advancement threatens the natural order." The natural order. A new voice cut through the chamber. Dr. Maya Patel, representing Earth, stood at the center of the hall. She wore a simple white suit that contrasted sharply with the ornate robes of the other representatives. "There is nothing natural about suppressing innovation. Nothing natural about forcing species to develop at an artificially controlled pace." She gestured, and a holographic display materialized above the chamber. It showed the quantum entanglement technology that had so thoroughly defeated the Dominion fleet, but now presented as a tool for civil applications. Instant communication across vast distances, clean energy generation, medical breakthroughs that seemed like magic. "We developed these technologies because we had to," Patel continued. "But look at what they could mean for all species. Imagine a galaxy where distance is no longer a barrier, where energy scarcity is a memory, where cooperation is limited only by our imagination, not our capabilities." The chamber erupted in discussion. Younger species saw opportunity in her words, while older ones recognized the threat to their authority. but they all understood that something fundamental had changed. Humanity hadn't just demonstrated superior technology. They had shattered assumptions about what was possible. Admiral Chen, attending as Earth's military representative, observed the reactions carefully. "They're beginning to understand," she whispered to Patel. "The galaxy will never be the same." From the upper tiers, Sorel of the Networked Minds Collective spoke. Their crystalline form pulsed with patterns of light that reflected deep calculation. Humanity's achievements force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. We have become complacent. We limited ourselves by accepting artificial constraints on innovation. The evidence was undeniable. In the weeks since the battle for Earth, analysis had shown that many of humanity's breakthroughs had been theoretically possible for other species. They simply hadn't pursued them, bound by the Dominion's rigid guidelines for technological development. Vylon made one final attempt to maintain control. The Dominion's guidelines exist for a reason. Uncontrolled technological advancement leads to chaos, to destruction. "To change," Patel interrupted. "Change that you fear because it threatens your control. But change is coming, whether you accept it or not. The only question is whether you will help shape it or be shaped by it." She activated another hologram, this one showing the Ghost Fleet's quantum shadow technology being adapted for peaceful exploration. "We're willing to share our advances, to work with any species ready to embrace a new way of thinking. Not as subordinates to the Dominion, but as equals in pursuit of knowledge." The effect was electric. Species that had been silent for generations began to speak up, sharing their own suppressed innovations, theoretical breakthroughs they'd been afraid to pursue. The chamber became a forum of possibilities, of ideas too long held back by artificial constraints. A young Nexian scientist, her crystalline form vibrating with excitement, presented calculations showing how her species could adapt human quantum technology to revolutionize their energy production. A Zoraxian engineer demonstrated how their biotechnology could be combined with human advances to solve problems that had plagued their civilization for centuries. The Dominion representatives watched in growing alarm as their carefully maintained hierarchy crumbled. Species were forming new alliances based not on age or traditional power, but on shared goals and complementary innovations. "This is more than a political shift," Admiral Chen observed. "It's an awakening. Every species is beginning to recognize their own potential." Patel nodded. The Dominion ruled through artificial scarcity, of knowledge, of technology, of possibility itself. We've shown them that scarcity was always an illusion. As the session continued, new proposals emerged. A coalition of younger species suggested creating an open exchange for technological innovation, freed from Dominion oversight. Others proposed joint research initiatives, combining the unique perspectives and capabilities of different species. The galaxy was transforming before their eyes. The rigid hierarchy that had defined civilization for millennia was being replaced by something more dynamic, more collaborative. And at the center of it all stood humanity, not as conquerors or rulers, but as catalysts for change. "We never wanted to rule," Patel addressed the chamber one final time. "We wanted to prove that every species has the potential for greatness. Today, that journey begins for all of us." The old order was crumbling, and from its ruins, a new galaxy was taking shape, one where innovation knew no bounds, and the future belonged to those brave enough to imagine it. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy gathered again, not in the hierarchical chambers of Centaurus Prime, but in a new facility orbiting Sol. The Nexus, as it was called, was a marvel of collaborative engineering. Its quantum-stabilized halls could host representatives from every known species, from plasma-based entities to silicon crystalline forms, all in their native environments. This was humanity's vision of the future, not dominance, but synthesis. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at a viewport, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive through quantum corridors, another innovation now freely shared. Beside her, Dr. Maya Patel reviewed final adjustments to the translation matrices that would allow unprecedented communication between species. "Did you ever imagine this?" Chen asked, gesturing at the spectacular array of vessels. Some were biological constructs grown by the Zoraxians, others were pure energy configurations piloted by the ethereals. Each represented a unique approach to space travel, now free from the Dominion standardization. Not like this, Pyle admitted. We prepared for war, but we created renaissance instead. The great chamber of the Nexus filled with representatives from over 3,000 species. The Dominion counselors, stripped of their former authority, but invited as equals, sat among them. Their presence was a testament to the new order, one based on merit and innovation rather than age and tradition. First speaker Call, once a minor diplomat from an underdeveloped species, addressed the gathering. A year ago, humanity showed us that our limitations were self-imposed. Today, we take the next step forward together. Holographic displays activated throughout the chamber, showing the fruits of a year's collaboration. Quantum healing technologies that could cure diseases once thought permanent. Environmental restoration systems that could reverse centuries of damage. Ships that could explore dimensions beyond normal spacetime. These achievements, Kittel continued, represent more than technological advancement. They represent the power of unrestricted innovation, of cooperation without hierarchy. Dr. Patel took the platform next. When we developed our quantum technologies, we did so out of necessity. But what we've seen this past year proves that necessity isn't the only mother of invention. Freedom, the freedom to think, to dream, to challenge assumptions, can drive progress just as powerfully. The evidence was undeniable. Species that had been deemed primitive by Dominion standards were now contributing revolutionary insights. The Aquarians, previously restricted in their research, had combined their unique understanding of fluid dynamics with quantum mechanics to create entirely new forms of propulsion. The crystalline Concordat had transformed communication by developing networks that operated through crystalline quantum states. Former Grand Marshal Tulara, who had led the failed attack on Earth, rose to speak. His words carried the weight of profound realization. For millennia, the Dominion believed that controlling progress meant ensuring stability. We were wrong. True stability comes not from control, but from unleashing the potential in all species. The chamber erupted in agreement. The past year had proven that innovation, when freed from artificial constraints, didn't lead to chaos. It led to harmony. Species that might have weaponized their discoveries instead found ways to benefit all. Admiral Chen activated a final display, showing the new galactic framework that would replace the old hierarchy. The future council, she explained, will have no permanent members, no fixed authority. Leadership will rotate based on contribution and innovation. Every species, regardless of age or origin, will have the opportunity to shape our shared future. The proposal was revolutionary, yet its approval was nearly unanimous. The galaxy had tasted freedom. Freedom to innovate, to collaborate, to dream, and there was no going back. As the session concluded, representatives from across the galaxy mingled freely, sharing ideas and forming new alliances. In one corner, a young human scientist excitedly discussed theoretical physics with a group of ethereals. Nearby, Zoraxian bioengineers collaborated with crystalline architects on designs for living stations that could think and grow. This is humanity's true victory, Paddle said softly to Chen. Not defeating the Dominion, but showing the galaxy how to defeat its own limitations. Above them, through the quantum-enhanced viewport, the combined fleet of 1,000 species maneuvered in harmony. The Ghost Fleet, once humanity's secret weapon, now served as a prototype for a new kind of peacekeeping force, one dedicated not to enforcing order, but to protecting innovation and cooperation. And this is just the beginning, Chen replied, watching as a newly commissioned exploration vessel prepared for its maiden voyage. The ship was a joint project of 12 species, combining technologies that would have been forbidden under the old order. Its mission: to push the boundaries of known space, not for any one species, but for all. As the new dawn broke over Earth, humanity had achieved something greater than military victory or technological superiority. They had catalyzed a transformation that would echo through the ages, a reminder that the greatest power in the universe wasn't control or dominance, but the unlimited potential of minds free to imagine, to create, and to dream. The galaxy had entered a new era, and its future was brighter than any star.